A bittersweet screening because it's the last one, and yeah, this is my last Q&A. But I just wanted to thank the festival once again and the Sundance Institute. I went through the Sundance Labs 2 years ago and really wouldn't be here without their generosity and support. So, any questions? You know, we're waiting for distribution. We premiered Wednesday night, and yeah, there's been a little interest, but we don't know. Thank you very much.
Where did the idea come from?
Well, I was actually here at the festival in 2010 with a short film of the same name, but it was set in a completely different place. It was set in a factory town. Where I'm from in Massachusetts. But I was kind of interested in the idea of having a story with an accident set in the past and never seeing it on screen and never really experiencing the trauma visually, but kind of watching the effects of it psychologically on characters and on a community and kind of experiencing it that way. I was kind of interested in the mystery of that. If you just never saw it, but you hear characters speak about it, and you kind of see possibly the horror on their face about it. So that was sort of the seed. And then there have been a number of pretty bad coal mine accidents in 2006 and 2010 when I started writing, and you know the media covered it, and then it kind of disappeared from the zeitgeist a little bit, but I kind of couldn't get some of these stories out of my head, and I thought it could be a really interesting backdrop, and I knew I wanted to have a story about a one-company town. I somehow thought the dramatic opportunities of that would be pretty interesting. So.
Over here.
I missed where it was filmed, and did the screenplay also have a fictional town name or place?
You know, we shot in Beckley, West Virginia. And then in a spot, we were at a coal mine, and that was a little bit outside Charleston. But no, I mean, I wrote it for West Virginia, and I had a fictitious name. But yeah, you never necessarily see the name or feel the name in the final film.
Sara, what kind of safety precautions did your team have to take to film in the mine?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. We worked for months and months trying to get on mine grounds, and it was incredibly difficult. You know, once we talked about what the plot of the story, a lot of mines were just like, we don't want to touch this. And then the other thing with West Virginia too is that there have been a lot of kind of critical documentaries done in the past few years, either on like drug use or a lot of things, just pollution, or just a little critical of the mining industry. And so, everyone was a little nervous. When I said that it was, a fictional film and that it was about a town and it was about the mourning process and wasn't anti-coal per se, I think they softened up. But, we found a mine that was really fantastic, and we had to go through a whole day of safety procedures, learning how to use sort of self-rescuers, learning, there's a whole series of things that you do if you get stuck in a mine. You have to find a way out, and there's kind of a cord that you hold on to get back to the portal. But I think all in all, we had maybe 15 people that had to go through, out of 40 of us on set. There were 15 that went in the mine, and it was it was a really interesting process. I definitely came out of this film having an unbelievable appreciation for these guys that have to do this every day. It's just unbelievable work.
I love seeing how all the different groups have like self-protection in different ways. And I was wondering if that was deliberate or if it came out in the end, kind of how everyone has manipulative ways of protecting themselves, their group.
Do you mean like the unions or the coal miners themselves?
Well, union as boys,
Mm-hmm.
and
absolutely. I think so much of, you know, for me, so much of the script is about not confronting things in silence. And so, like, when I was writing the script, I had to think a lot about, okay, what's not said actually, as opposed to what's said. What are the things that we don't talk about to protect ourselves and protect our self-interest? But yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think particularly in these towns, the union still has a pretty strong presence, but then, you know, West Virginia in particular is still a red state, so there's a lot of kind of anti-union sentiment. You know, and when I was down there researching, a lot of old miners just hate the union and kind of have this kind of loner mentality where, you know, you're really stoic and you don't complain and you man up and go back to work. But yeah, you know, certainly I was trying to express all of these different groups and you know, what they believe, you know, and they clash a lot of times too.
In the back?
I love the cast. Can you talk about what the process was of getting them? Did they have to audition, or did you have some in mind?
Well, I went through the Sundance Labs in Provo, and I actually brought Boyd Holbrook, the lead, who plays Amos, to the labs, and it's a really neat process. You get to actually shoot 5 scenes from the script, and it's sort of a dress rehearsal. So he was there, and I didn't really know him that well. I had met him for coffee in New York, and you know, I wasn't sure if he was necessarily right. But when we got there, he was just fantastic, and he's actually from Eastern Kentucky, the son of a coal miner, and just had an inherent knowledge of the area, and helped me fill in a lot of blanks too. I mean, he's just wonderful. But he really wanted the part. So I ended up casting him maybe a year later. I had met with other guys in Hollywood, but there was just something about him that I found so riveting and so real, and I didn't want to risk it by having someone that couldn't do the accent or didn't really understand it, and you know, didn't have a real connection to it. But then, you know, we quickly cast, I think Chloe Sevigny was the next one to have read the script, and I actually thought she wanted the role of Diana, but she really wanted the role of Kendra, who's, you know, mother of these 2 boys. And I was really kind of humbled and surprised, and I was like, you know, I think you'd be really great for it. And then I think Elizabeth Banks got her hands on the script somehow through one of my producers, and we had a Skype call one day, and she just was really enthusiastic and talked a lot about kind of wanting to move away from comedy for a little bit. And I thought it was kind of a neat thing for me too to work with her on this. But she's just incredibly smart, and you know, talked about what she thought this woman would wear, what her house would look like, what curtains she'd hang in her home, and you know, and about kind of the materialism of this woman, kind of and the sort of things that she might do to kind of it's sort of therapeutic to kind of block out the kind of disturbing things that her husband would be up to. So yeah, that was those are the, I guess, 3 of them, and then Jacob Laughlin was in Mud, and I had seen him in that movie and was really impressed by him, and he sent in an audition tape, and I just had goosebumps when I watched it. But the big stars didn't really audition. You kind of have conversations with them, but the kids, we all auditioned, and you know, James, Bo Wright, who plays James, we auditioned, and that was a pretty exhaustive search to find a little boy with Downs.
What's next?
You know, I'm interested in 2 things. I'm thinking about doing an adaptation, still probably in the realm of drama. And then I'd really like to continue to explore American industry, maybe out west around here. I just think there's a lot going on, and I think it's a pretty interesting time for the country right now. A lot of manufacturing has disappeared. Like towns, like a lot of these coal towns, if the company, you know, if the company gets closed down, people are out of work, and I think, you know, there's a lot happening that I still want to explore. So we'll see. our funding. We had 5 investors, private investors. Yeah, just lucky to have them in this economy.
How long did it take you to film? And how long did it take you, when you were past the 9 years, to get the script involved?
Yeah. I wrote the script actually pretty quickly, at least the first draft. I think that was the fall of 2010, so at the end of the year. And then in January 2011, I got accepted into the labs, and pretty much that whole year, you do kind of writing workshops and directing workshops with Sundance, and that was pretty incredible. And then I found producers, and it was probably another year of development of just trying to put the cast together and get the money together. And then the shooting, it's kind of like planning a wedding. It's a lot of prep, and then it just goes by really quickly, which is nuts. But yeah, we shot, I think, 24 days, and we were down in West Virginia like a month ahead of time. So all in all, it was 2 months down in West Virginia.
Was the script all you had to get an application for the Sundance lab program?
Yeah, yeah.
Some filming first.
Well, I had done 2 short films, and I think Sundance liked them, so they called me up and they said, oh, do you have a feature? And I said no, and then I rushed to write a feature movie thereafter. I was like working on it in the summer and fall of 2010.
We have time for one more, Sarah. You had another question?
I was wondering, I'm guessing none of this was actually in some sort of studio, so you were on location, like homes, did you actually go to people's homes to film? Or did you, what
Yeah.
were the promises?
Yeah, we were kind of going through communities, and we liked. I think we shot in 3 towns total. And you just kind of flyer houses that you liked, and said, we're making this movie, and would you like for us to, could we shoot in here? And you offer it's an independent film, so it's a tiny amount of compensation, but that's sort of how you do it. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.